So I thought I'd tell you guys the story of how I got COVID, where I think I got it from, and what's going on with it. When did this Spider-Man movie come out, the new Spider-Man? Because I was under the presumption I got COVID from going to see this cinema. 15th of December. So technically, I got it around here. I guess you could make a pun about that, couldn't you? Spider-Man not going home without COVID. There's a joke there. Anyway, I go see Spider-Man, and then a few days after I see Spider-Man, I think it was like a Thursday, and I was like laid in bed, and we were watching, me and my girlfriend watching TV, and all of a sudden I'm coughing a lot. Like, now listen, I cough a lot anyway. I've got a lot of health problems. Watch the other videos on my YouTube channel. So it's not unusual for me, but I did notice this cough was a little bit different. It was like, you know, like you feel a tickle sensation in the back of your throat, like you need to cough. I felt that, but then I cough, I go, I clear my throat, and it's still there. And I'm until you cough so hard, it feels like you're almost like throwing your lungs out of your mouth. But then it's still, that tickling sensation is still there. And I think that's what they refer to as a dry cough, where you cough, but you never really feel satisfied, relieved. You never feel relieved when you cough. And then I got up to get a drink for whatever reason. And then I instantly, the minute I got out of the duvet and the air hit my skin, I was covered in goosebumps. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I felt really cold. And I was like, whoa, that feels a bit unusual. And I'm going downstairs, I'm doing my thing, and I get back upstairs and I get under the duvet because I'm cold. And I'm like feeling really warm, so I'm like half in the duvet, half out of the duvet. And it was such a strange feeling. It's like feeling really cold and then feeling really warm. And that was like the first experience of like when I thought, hang on, something's not quite right here. And I did do one of those crappy tests, the little plastic ones. Like these ones. One of these tests. And it came back negative. And I thought to myself, hang on, these have got like a really small rate of success, haven't they? Something like 40, 50%. So maybe you should do a few of them. So I gave it like until next morning. I did the test. And it did form a tiny little line. Can you actually see that? You see the little, can you see the T is? T is like a tiny little red line. And I asked the guys on my Discord, and they were like, that might be a negative result, even though it's showing positive. So you might want to do another one. So I do one an hour later, and it shows positive again. And I believe, this might sound like bullshit, but I believe that even though the success rate on these ones is like really low, if you do more than one of them, you're more likely to get a more accurate result. And so I go get a PCR test where you drive in, and I thought with the PCR test, you see an expert and like a medical expert, and then they do it for you and like shove the cotton thing in your nose like this, shoves it into your nozzle hole. But anyway, I thought a medical professional had to do it, but it turns out that they give you all the gear. And then you do it yourself. You have to like shove it in your back of your throat and then shove it down your nose. And my girlfriend got a result back like within the hour, and she was negative. And I was like, oh, that's really great. That means I'm probably going to be negative as well. And then I wait a day, no text message. Then I wait a day, no text message. Then I wait another day, and around about 11 o'clock, my phone vibrated because I turned it off silent. I'm usually always on silent, but this one time I was waiting for this text, so it came through. I loaded it up, and it was like positive COVID. There we go. I did have like fever really badly, and I had something what you call labored breathing. Labored breathing is where, you know, like you go for a sprint, like you're about to miss your bus, so you go for a run. Whoa, go for a run. And you finally get the bus, like, really breathing heavily. And it takes you a while, 20, 30 seconds to get your breath back. You're catching your breath. I had that 2 nights when I had COVID with really bad fever, and it's scary. You lay down flat on the ground, you're not moving, but you're breathing as if you've gone for a sprint. And you're trying to like get your breath back, like trying to gather it. You're trying to get it back, and it's just not coming back. And that went on for like bursts of it, like lasting something like 10, 15 minutes. And you won't believe how scary it is for 10, 15 minutes trying to grab your breath back, but you can't get it back. That's really scary. It happened once, and then 2 days later, it came back again. Like 2 bursts of it. Like a friend of mine told me, like you get like these 2 waves of it. The fever and the labored breathing. And I was like, that sounds stupid. It doesn't even make sense. Why would you get two waves of it? And there was a point on that second day, the second time it happened, I was considering, maybe it was more I couldn't breathe, less about I couldn't breathe and more about I feel like I can't get my breath and it's kind of scaring me a little bit, that I thought about calling an ambulance. I did think about it. You know, like when they do it's called OBS. Is it OBS? Is it they monitor your heart rate, your blood pressure and your oxygen levels? This has become a bit of a game for me. Whenever I go to the hospital, they always do your OBS. And the oxygen level is a percentage. I think if you drop below 90%, they start to worry about, because that's how much oxygen you've got in your blood. And it basically shows you the percentage of oxygen you've got in your blood. It ranges from 100 to well, I guess as low as it can go, really, I suppose. I suppose it's 0% if you're dead. And once again, if you get below 90, 80%, they start to worry about because you're not taking enough oxygen to satiate all of the cells in your body. So therefore it becomes a problem. And like people who are like on ventilators, they've got like 50, 60% blood oxygen levels because they can't take enough oxygen because their lung doesn't have the capabilities because they're so damaged from the COVID. And the point I'm getting at, sorry, I went on a tangent there, is it would have been really interesting to me to do a blood oxygen level when I was labored breathing to see if it did drop below that like 90% range. You know what I mean? So I have had the 2 vaccines and I have the booster and all 3 of them were Pfizer. I have got pre-existing medical problems you're probably already aware of. So I'm kind of a person that's like at really high risk of COVID. If I do get it, there's a chance that I will suffer more than the average person. This is the scary point. So if you guys aren't aware, I'll let you know. Okay, I'll just presume you don't know. The vaccine does not protect you against from getting COVID. You will still get COVID. But when you do get COVID, the symptoms will be reduced. That's the whole idea behind it. So you experience that you're less symptomatic, less duration, and you're less likely to get hospitalized and less likely to die. This is the part where it kind of like really makes me reflect. Maybe 2022 is the year of reflections, and it makes me question to myself, if I'd not had the 3 shots, would I have survived COVID? It really makes me think. And do you know what it's made me do? It's made me kind of reflect a little bit. And I think that's a really good feeling. That feeling when you have a moment of reflection and you think to yourself, would I have made it? I don't know. There's a part of me that really does make me think like, wow, maybe I should do things a little bit differently. Maybe I should live my life a little bit differently. Yeah, I don't know. It really did make me reflect. And I think that was quite eye-opening. And I think going forward, I think it's how I'm gonna live 2022 a little bit differently. Because I think in 2020, 2021 and 2020, I think I was just way too much focused on YouTube and playing computer games. And I feel like I want to go outside more. Maybe I'll do more IRL streams. Hey, my second YouTube channel is called Feedback IRL. Party more. Hell no, I'll get more viruses. Fuck that. Anyway, I don't want this to be misinterpreted as a pro-vaccine rant, okay? All I'm basically doing is relaying my experience, my anecdote with COVID. To be most part, from a scientific perspective, a single anecdote, you can't really draw conclusions with it. But maybe this is for the historical archives. Maybe they'll reference this back in 1,000 years and like, oh, this guy got COVID, the great COVID purge of 2020s, 19s. Maybe that'll be part of the historical YouTube archives. Oh, yeah, that'll happen in the future, won't it? In the future, YouTube, they'll stop letting people upload, and it'll just become like a library of older videos. Think about it. Please type the video, you'll die if you don't get the vaccine. Oh god, they'll be so mad. To be honest with you, I feel like I need to embrace clickbait more. I think that's one part of my channel that I don't think I embrace enough. I think you have to say to yourself, if you ever clickbait, you are going to get more angry comments. But you will get more views as well. So the trade-off kind of will work. I suppose the only problem is if you go long-term, lying to your audience, eventually they'll start not to trust you anymore. So I suppose if you kind of do it in bursts, I think you're for the win. So from 2022 onwards, guys, every other video will be clickbait.